Hi and welcome. I'm Susan Blaine. I'm here with Leanne Lee, and she is the program manager for Harmony House, an amazing organization here in Ottawa. It's been around for 30 years. You haven't been around for quite that long, but you've been in the industry of helping women against violence for 24 years. And tell me a little bit about Harmony House for the benefit of the people watching today.
Well, Harmony House is the only second stage shelter in the entire region, really.
The only one in Ottawa, but what's a second stage shelter? Because I was confused when we first started.
Sure. Well, a second stage shelter suggests that women stay with us for a much longer period of time, as opposed to an emergency shelter where the stay is quite limited.
Yeah.
So women will typically come to us possibly having had a stay in a first stage shelter.
Okay.
And then for a variety of reasons, whether it's in the need for ongoing support, there may be complications with a housing file. Women may just identify that they don't feel ready to live completely independently. So we transition them into a second stage where they live independently on site with staff support.
And it's women and children.
That's correct.
Fleeing violence.
Absolutely.
Violent situations. And some interesting statistics that I found on your website. One of them was at any given time in any year, we can have almost 8,000 women and children staying in a shelter of some sort in Ottawa. That's
I think it's a staggering figure.
That is a staggering figure.
One of the reasons why we collect that data is to try and create awareness of the depth of the problem and the issue itself. So yeah, it's very unfortunate that it is that high, but unfortunately it's because that's the reality for so many women.
And it's been around for 30 years.
Yes.
A need was determined by St. Matthew's Church, I believe, way back
correct.
when.
Yeah.
And another stat for you stat lovers out there that's quite staggering as well is that this is from Stats Canada, within a year, in any given year, there can be 100,000 women and children in shelters across the country. Wow, and one of the things that you and I have talked about in our many conversations, and you've said that this is really about equality.
It really is. The root cause, if you will, of violence against women is rooted in women's lack of equality. So we've made tremendous strides since 1929 when we were declared persons. In many parts of the world,
1929, we were declared persons.
You know, we have certainly made strides, and we've sought out and fought long and hard for certain not entitlements per se, but ideology, right? Like 25, 30 years ago, you didn't see very many women taking engineering in school. You know, now we know that women are in positions to be able to do that. But if you think about the lack of equality, if one segment of the population is consistently determined to be of lesser value, then you can understand that creates the imbalance of where the power lies, right?
Yeah,
so,
and a lot of that is rooted deeply in our systems, right?
Indeed, indeed.
Harmony House, since I've been learning about the work that you guys do and the incredible work that you do, and we're going to hear about some stories later on. We're going to do a couple of videos here, so we hope you stay tuned. Harmony House Women's Shelter is focused on healing, helping women heal the trauma. They've got to make that first step, but they heal from the trauma and then rebuild their lives.
Indeed.
You know, that's a tall order.
It is, and I think that the mighty staff team at Harmony House is well equipped. We're small, for sure.
You're the only second stage shelter in the city.
Indeed we are.
Yeah.
And we're always full. I mean, we have a significant wait list all the time. Ideally, we would like not to have that wait list, or even better, have more spaces available for women to be able to access. But once women arrive at our doorstep, the ultimate goal is to empower those women to rebuild their lives towards safe, independent living with a life free of violence.
And you've got some amazing programs that help women do that. I wanted to just talk about you for just a second, because how did you come to do this work? You've been 24 years committed to do this work. You do volunteer work at detention centers. How did you come to have a passion for this kind of work?
Well, I think there's a couple of reasons for me. Certainly I'm a survivor of violence myself. And there were people, women back in the day, and we're talking many, many, many years ago, but there were women who had a desire to help me during that time. And I always felt like there was something that I wanted to be able to do to give back to, maybe not specifically to those women who had helped me, but to other women. And I think that, having lived experience of the issue of violence against women, 30 years ago, I didn't know that there were so many resources or supports available. And I certainly didn't understand, why it was happening, other than I thought it was my fault. And those women really helped me to understand that this was not my fault. And so that's really what I wanted to do to create for women. And I started out volunteering. I looked after children in shelters for a period of time, just as a way to connect with women and let them know that there is hope, there is life after this situation.
Yeah.
And I think it just had a level of compassion for being able to empathize with those women, but I also had a passion for there's so much more that we can be doing.
Yeah, right? And there's a way out.
Yeah,
there's a way out of the pattern. To learn more about Harmony House, check them out online, harmonyhouse.com. We're going to be talking more with Leanne here over a couple of videos, so please stay tuned. But there's so many ways that we can help support. We're going to talk about that because support's so important.
Critical, for sure.
Critical. And harmonyhouse.com, stay tuned.